Hi guys, this is Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a brand new knife for 2018, the Rake P852 G10 handle scales, Sandvik 14C28N stainless steel blade, nice belly here, great strong tip, recurve for slicing and cutting through stuff very well, a knife that fits my hand very well, not quite excellent, but very well. And this is a good knife. And I've got a surprise to tell you on what's inside here. You will be surprised. Well, it's the second time. It's the second time this company has done this. Something special in the pivot here. So stick around. You want to see this coming at you right now. In 2017, the Rake company put out the P138. 128? Can't remember the number exactly. It was a beautiful Tanto knife. Well, still is. You can still get it. Very good price. Very nice knife. And it surprised me and surprised us all with being the very first budget knife that had roller thrust bearings in the pivot. Yes, roller bearings for a pivot. Talk about smooth action. Rock solid, no blade play ever. Just really, really nice. And here is their second knife that's doing it. And guess what? It retails for only $65.95 Canadian. So this knife is about $51.31 American, 42.87 euros, 37.8 pounds sterling. A knife that has roller bearings at that price. Can you believe it? Yes, you can, because it's available right now. You head over to rakeknives.ca if you live in North America, and you can get yours right now. They've got them in stock, shipped to you ASAP. Either get this one or get the other one from 2017, the Tanto. So either you like a nice recurve or a nice Tanto, or get one of each. Because if you spend more than $99.99 Canadian, so that is if you buy, two knives, they do have some knives that are even less money, but you buy two knives from them and shipping's thrown in for free. So there you go, guys. For North America, that price cannot be beat. So thrust bearings. Here, I'll show you a picture of the inside of this knife right now. So what do you think of that? I think that is awesome. What do we have here? 14C28N stainless steel, I mentioned before. We've got a nice wedge up here coming down, this beautiful drop point. Great belly, nice recurve here, and the radius of that recurve is not so aggressive that it's going to be too difficult to sharpen. For some people, it might be a challenge, especially if you're quite new to knives, but if you've been around knives for a little while and done sharpening for a while, this recurve should not be too daunting for you. Very nice sharpener's choil, so you're not going to sharpen into the plunge here and make a mess of that. Right there it says 14C28N, and the date stamp there says it's made in March 2018. There's my serial number, and there's the model right there, the P852B. We've got a nice G10 here, and it's got those scalloped lines in there. That gives it a very good grip in the hand. Not only that, this nice choil here protects it. If you do any stabbing motions, your hand is very much protected from going over the blade. The tip of this blade here is designed so well that it's very strong. Just love that. Hopefully I can get you a nice, good close-up shot of the tip of this blade, because it is quite robust. A nice, fairly thick steel for the modern knives since about 2015, when knife companies started really going beefy on the blades of folding knives. This might not be super beefy anymore, but it's still beefy compared to my history. You've got an extra lock on here. This is called the thumb up safety lock. Thumb up safety lock. So you push your thumb up and it locks it so that the liner lock cannot be undone. And you pull it back and now the liner lock can be undone. I don't use that very much. Some guys like it. Most guys, just ignore it. There's some nice jimping on there to actuate it if you want to. But you could just take some nice fine sandpaper and sand that a little bit smoother, and then it's not going to catch your thumb as easy. This one, I don't find I'm accidentally turning it on as much as some other knives that have it. You've got a flipper tab here. You can use the light switch method, works very well. And you can use the press down method, works very well as well. There's no jimping anywhere on the flipper tab. There's no jimping anywhere on this except for on the release lock for the liner lock. It's a little bit of side jimping there. Very easy to undo the lock. For my left hand, quite easy as well. I just cut the tip of my finger yesterday here very slightly, so I'm a little bit more sensitive doing this. Very good. You've got a pocket clip here. So it's one of those deep carry pocket clips. Well, not super deep, sorry, because it's not folded over, but it's a nice pocket clip. It doesn't make a hot spot in your hand. It works in the pocket very well. Let's see here. So there you go. When it's sitting in the pocket, not an awful lot showing, a little over a centimeter, a little less than half of an inch showing. No problem there at all. And it's got a nice little curve to it. It's not your standard straight piece of steel, so it looks good. It does hold a little bit in the pocket when you go to pull it out because of the milling, these horizontal milled lines on the G10. Not a big deal. It's not going to destroy your pocket. But it might do a tiny bit more wear than you might have on some other, smooth G10 handles. We've got a backspacer here that comes all the way to the end here. Very good fit and finish, nice and smoothly done there. You've got torque screws. We've got a D-shaped pivot pin here so it doesn't spin along, which is a really good thing. And the screws are done very well. What else can I tell you about this thing? Nice big lanyard hole here. You can easily fit 550 paracord through there. You might even be able to fit 1100 paracord through that hole. Very, very nice. You've got this handle shape here, nice and round at the back so it fits in the palm of your hand. You've got your index finger choil and then your pinky finger choil. My hands are large. North American sizes, large, right on the borderline of extra large. My hands are just on the borderline of being too big for this knife. That is, if I want to keep it inside these two choils. So if I hold it like this, I can get my hand inside there just barely. It's just a little bit tighter than I'd like it to be. I would like it if, it came back half a centimeter, 5 millimeters more. If this tip point right here was back just a little bit more, then it would work a little bit better for guys with slightly larger hands. But if your hands are large or medium, small hands on North American sizes, you're going to love this knife. Your hand's going to fit in here very well, very comfortably. If you're extra large hands, you might still find it comfortable. It's just your pinky's going to rest up here or down here instead of inside. So if I put my pinky finger out there, I can spread out my fingers a little bit, and it's still a very comfortable hold on this knife. And no hot spots, very well, good grab. I can do the same thing, putting my index finger now up here for doing a reverse grip. This reverse, not too comfortable, quite strange feeling, quite odd feeling, especially right there with the hand. But other grips, pinch grip works very well. No problem with that kind of grip. Good knife. Let's talk about all the different dimensions here before we go on to something else. We've got a cutting edge of 9 centimeters. That's 3.54 inches. And then the blade length, so the end of the handle to the tip, is actually slightly less, 8.87 centimeters, 3.49 inches. The blade thickness is 3.4 millimeters. That's 0.134 inches. The blade depth, so that's the spine of the blade to the cutting edge right here, closest to the pivot, is the largest distance. Almost the same here, but not quite. 3 centimeters, 1.18 inches. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, and I usually measure about 1 inch off of the sharpener's choil down here. 0.45 millimeters. That's 0.0175 inches. For a knife this size, I've generally made the target of, I'm looking for a thickness of 0.5 millimeter. So this is slightly less than 0.5 millimeter, but it being 14C28N, that's a good enough steel that I'm not concerned about that edge chipping or rolling over or anything. No problems at all. Very, very good. That makes this thing an excellent slicer. How thin it is behind the grind, along with the shape, wonderful. Now, if I was not measuring this with my vernier calipers, I would have said that the thickness behind the grind is, a bit thick. And that's because your fingers and your eyes can be deceiving. And that's one of the reasons why I measure, because measuring tells you the truth when your eyes and your fingers might not know. So other reviewers out there, if you're just looking at something and you're saying, okay, I like how thick that is, that's really good, you really might be making mistakes unless you measure it. So get yourself the tools to do measuring of your knives so that you can give even better reviews than you're doing right now. Some of you reviewers are just awesome, and you could be even better if you were actually measuring your own. You cannot trust knife companies or even other reviewers to get it right. You need to measure it yourself. Rake Knives is one of those companies that usually gets the measurements very close to what I find. One of the things that Rake got wrong is the weight. They say it's heavier than what I found, but hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. We talked about the blade length, specs and stuff. Let's get to the handle. Handle length is 11.89 centimeters, 4.68 inches. The grip area is 9.3 centimeters, 3.66 inches. The handle thickness, not counting the pocket clip, is 1.73 centimeters, 0.68. So it is kind of chunky of a knife. I tend to want my knives to be about 1/2 inch thick. But this being well-rounded, you only see it that thick right down the middle, and then you get thinner at the edge and thinner at the back as well. So it's not it doesn't feel that big in the hand, but it really is about 0.6. But it feels like your regular 1/2 inch thick handle. The handle depth, that's this dimension from my thumb to my index finger, and it's biggest right here, 2.9 centimeters, 1.15 inches. The total length of this knife with the blade deployed is 21 centimeters, 8.27 inches. It weighs 157 grams, 5.55 ounces. It would weigh a fair bit more if they didn't do any skeletonizing in here. I'll show you the rest of the picture. I showed you the bearings before. I'll give you the picture of the entire handle so you can see the liners completely. If they would have done a little more skeletonizing, or if they would have made these liners slightly thinner, they could have got this thing a little bit lighter. But 5.5 ounces is not bad for a full-size knife, especially when you've got a big blade like this. And this is a good-size blade. We've got a saber grind, that is a flat grind that comes up a little over half of the way, about half the way right here and more over here. You have a nice big flat area here, so you can put it on a clamp system to sharpen it if you need to. I think I've covered all the areas. Is this hot in the hand? It can be a little bit back here if your hands get too big. But other than that, no, the pocket clip is very comfortable. Let's go over all the different likes and dislikes. I've already covered a lot of these, but I'm going to make sure I got them all. But before I do that, I'll give you the price. No, I gave you the price earlier. Okay, so this extra thumb up safety lock, here or there. I really don't mind it there. It's not really in the way, but I don't use it. Some people will love the look of this knife, and some people will hate the look of this knife. It's one of those that's going to be polarizing. And so it's a pro or a con, depending on your own personal taste. And so I'm one of those guys who I like almost every knife. So you can't go by what I say on if a knife is attractive or not, unless you are like me and you find just about every knife attractive. It's just, I love knives. And so I find something good about just about every knife on how it looks. And there's always something appealing there for me to see. But some people are going to think this thing's a little bit ugly. Sharpener's choil is excellent. It's large enough to stay out of the way so you can sharpen right to the edge and have a nice sharp point without messing up your plunge right there. Nice sturdy tip here. Love that. The recurve radius isn't too aggressive. I really like that. We've got a nice big stop pin. I forgot to mention that before. And that's nice and big enough to take a big hard slam and be solid, no problem. The D-shaped pivot pin is a very good thing. The flipper works any which way you want it to, and it doesn't need jimping to do that. It's slightly rounded all over the place so it doesn't become a pocket poker either. And so the only thing I would change on this is I would make it be, or I would either make it this come out a little bit further so it terminates right here, this choil or end of the handle, just come out a little bit further for slightly larger hands. Or if they made a second one of these that is just slightly bigger, 8 3/4 inches total instead of 8 1/4 maybe, that would be a really good thing. It's very well balanced. Let me put it on my hand here. Right there, the balance point, perfect. The proportions of the length of the handle to the length of the blade to the length of the handle is just great. It's just not made for people with extra large hands the way it is. So if you've got extra large hands, you might not find this knife very comfortable unless you don't mind putting your pinky finger up over a flat area like that. Because there is more room here for 3 fingers for sure. Like I can put 3 fingers in here and still have all that extra room. So extra large, if you get willing to go that way, you'll be fine. I really like this knife, and those thrust bearings in there knock this thing out of the park. It's a knife that I definitely recommend to you if you're looking for something that's good quality at a good price. Save up your shekels a little bit if you need to get to the $66 value here. That's Canadian dollars. Because you will be very happy with this. And if you prefer a Tanto, like I said before, get that one. I'll put a link to that video at the very end. You'll see it up in this corner right here at the very end of this video, to the Tanto that's got the thrust bearings. Let's do a tiny little bit of a cutting demonstration and then we'll be done. We've got some really light paper here. So it cuts that. This is the factory edge. I've done nothing to it. I haven't even stropped it, but I've done a fair bit of cutting with this, and it's still a very, very nice edge. Thank you to the 14C28N for that account. Here we've got, bigger paper, and it's a little bit wrinkled. This paper had gotten a little bit wet. It was an envelope. And just see that cuts very, very well. Nice and clean cutting. It's a great knife. Let me cut something a little bit more robust for you. Here we've got some cardboard. Look at that nice clean line there. Cuts very, very well. No problem at all. Cuts through this easy squeezy. It's a great knife, and that recurve catches things and holds them, and you just cut very easily into paper or something else. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. Thank you to everybody who likes, comments, and shares. I'll try to get into the comments. I read all the comments. I don't have time to answer or reply to all the comments. If you want to tell me something that you want to interact with me on, do email me at CanadianCuttingEdge@gmail.com, and I will get back to you on those emails. Remember, guys, always like, share, comment, subscribe, and then cut towards your chum, not your thumb.